Budale.
Sikyong ki kechi kawa chi shi chawe yu chong pe mi nam ki chi pe pa yu ke wa gui ki ki tere sun She pay me je o je pa Sikyong le pe nam sun nan sa pe mi nam ki me po So mi je me ke ku o yu je na ku le te we Tu de na ki ku kyang ku ve du ji se Để nam ki quy yang quy về du jing se kung de lo yu sa ching ki chu pe ki ga chue si de che sun pe mi ko na le she La da con ma chi Nye me rang che chang ma ne pe Na che chi pe pa yu pe chong Gya mi se to che kya Nan so ning do nam ya ma shung Gyami se to che kyang na tsuning to nam ya ma shung Ishino pe tu che ra ni ma le sha Ishino pe tu che ra ni ma le sha Se gi she kong tam be chu chi tu mi se te ri shun chi la sha ta chi pa pe ri tha da chi tel ge ta to che pe da ho che sun bin da se be la ma Gyama la le pum so na so pa ye pe ni Gyama la le pum so na so pa ye pe ni You are not the judge, You are not the judge, Ishino pe tu
Samlo lob tu din zui this ji shoge cho yes pero nangda konda muzu gyala shabya mangbu yungi yue tanda an thandu gyabla SFT lob tu din zui na ya dun la pero na SFT lob tu yena dun la pero na Entering Taringi Zerim di Unju Shui Tamlo Shurona Alhenge Kungam Sang Nga Chang California Perichidin Chokpegi Gule Tebe Domai Entering Zerim Gi Zogumpa Nga Tang Sani Perik Round to Chokpegi Choso Sing Diglangani Entering de Sani Pershungi Sisur Chok Chang California Perichidin Chokpegi Chonga La Pebadi Ni Chokpe Tang Per Round to Chokpe Niga Chap Shune Samdi Mangbuye Dida Chapchik Sisur Munzu Mixe Shunge Chola Kamena Pebadela Ning Tawane Tujena.
Hello everyone, my name is Tining Digi and I am the co-president of Students for a Free Tibet Bay Area. I will be announcing alongside Tibetan Lak, TANK's board member for today's program. On behalf of both TANK and SFT, we wholeheartedly welcome our former president of Central Tibetan Administration to the community hall. In addition, we would like to thank you for taking your time to speak with our youth.
Taring Zering Tangba de la Munzu Chope Chozo Jimba Tajinla Chope Ngoni Sisur Chola Samdi Jedata Sisula Sisurgi Lugu Tundu Jig Mimala Ngotinangere.
We will now begin the program with TANK President Jimba Tarchin offering a welcome kata on behalf of TANK to our Sisur Lobsang Sangya Lak, followed by a brief introduction of Sisur Lobsang Sangya Lak.
Tomadla Chino Consakem Kuchimbuchola, Kujang with the Puvetone, any Taring around Sane Perichidin Topatan, Sane Perawan Luru Topin Yambe, Tumontone, Kujishuetone, any Sisur Lobsang Cho, Tari, Sani Stanford La, Stanford University La Tanda, College Forum, the struggle for democracy in Asia and the Pacific region na yedinjila tamshin nanga phegi du gala sani nganju dela shola de phegi du ngaju ene shungye rang ki thone kongo ki chogi ene shungye dinzo phe rawa ene thapche duptap che du ene guti ki yengur contest khibures nyamshu contest khibures ene shungye dinzo ki ene maun dilam nyamdu susu dilam de contest ene tonang khibures 간다 간주에게 탐에 탑주에 갈라다 배기 짜된 탑주디 쉔게족이 애니 누발 라리기 등하나 애니 쉔게족이 애니 누바 깨싱 간데스 치고래 고디 간데스 치고래 배세기 토라 애니 공원한다 디토라 애니 ken게 쳔보래 애니 도연 쳔보래 디토라 애니 간주에게 가지 저쇼 표가 시송 공원 산에 대 폐기도 폐쇼라든가 간주 산에 딱 미망데 산에 배 간다 배주 창매기네 체도 딘데 갈롭나야 뒤주 뛰어나와들라 창매 찹슈네 에네 토체나 슈예이 가수슈이 아니 사회 공원 토라 에네 딱 아주 창매 에네 딱 슈과에면 공원 시수 점니 토나 구시 용나오레 에네 단대샤라 공원 시수 에네 하르버라 에네 잘레난기요레 에네 단동 무트니 딱 알아지 벽이 짜된다 벽이 배민치기 대답체도 아니 잘해놔야 돌아간다 구신신에 아니 대대신기 냠도 나란지 마음 벽이 선자양 냠도 치투 얘기 근데 돌아더니 저시 다랑 돌아야니 공옥이 갈롭나야이 아니 단딩 아주 티베탄인데 아주 신기랑 마도 아니 거가 미망을 거가 표투면도 아니 아주 피에메로 아주 신기한 존나 아주 되다 아니 라발라 아니 자기 세우지 표유 아니 신기한 아주 아니 다리 ene kong Sikyong chogi ene de ngoy se de phen kola ene naba chu ngone thiwa khari yone pene chena ta phame gi pheden thola chik chego re le de kola ene sosyo gi yang mizi dulam di career din so kechim ta dinyi parula khala so ta samlo de ma confuse chegna thrin de ene confusion is clear chege ene thiwa dine ene nangro chi shwe ane thade de la nye tuje mangole mogo thone ane kong yang jang azu de la sane da sane shön yen zo la ane kalpna ya ki sheshe na de la tuje na shwe yi
tuje na so tuje bala tharing jerim niwa de la ngu sane phe round lo tu chope ki chozo de jin la chikhashi sik sung nang je.
Thank you, President Champala. Secondly on the agenda, SFT Bay Area's co-president Tenzin Dechinla will offer a welcome kata on behalf of Students for a Free Tibet Bay Area to our Sisu Lobsang Sangya Lak, followed by a few words.
Hello everyone, I'm Tenzin Dechin, co-president of SFT Bay Area, and I would like to thank all of you for coming to our event today. It is with great privilege that I welcome our esteemed guest, Dr. Lobsang Sangya Lak. Today's event is a celebration of youth activism and leadership. It is acknowledgement of the incredible potential that lies within the younger generation to shape the future of our world and within our very communities. I'm deeply appreciative of Dr. Lobsang Sangya Lak's genuine interest in recognizing the importance of youth activism and a profound understanding of the significance in engaging and empowering young people to be catalysts for positive change. As we gather here today, let us reflect on the power of youth activism to drive meaningful progress in our communities. I hope every individual will take advantage of this opportunity, whether it be asking advice on how to face adversity or questioning how to make a change. In closing, I would like to extend my sincerest gratitude to Dr. Lobsang Sangya Lak for joining us today and our audience who came to support our event. Thank you, everyone.
tuje na so de jin la an tharing jerim sumba de la ngu phe shung gi Sisu Lobsang Sangya cho ne shungge cho la sungshe nang je ani sungshe duwa dan dj la shungge number tiwa tilengi kugap ji ye an di kugap di de la yang zu shungge cho Sisu sungshe nang dun tiwa di thadi
Thank you, Dechinla. Next, Sisu Lobsang Sangya Lak will be giving his speech, which will be followed by a question and answer session. For our younger audience, while Sisu is giving his speech, please prepare your questions.
Dilona diksarta. Naya langna thasar wa. Dine kyansu gyablo kids thogmendwa. Ngai dus ngai jingman nasare. Jela la jewe game los. The full battery is rebe. Dong with the eco horror to the joro. Yes, soon the lemo so she's tang shang my dog. They do independent asare. Jablo Shugan so yorba. Those come de ya shang shana, Paga Surnila. Ya fish. Ya piel get dead to put that future. 아니 간주 라나메 우티 공수 겸견 좀 쳐라 아니 구자왕 땅부 토네 겹네 긴두기데 안데네 속배 속소 의배 SFT 기 균련 넘버 안데 간주 벳코라 년다 체베 첩수 준수 두두왕질라 대패샤 아니 미만 남바 쉔게 창말라 닝타면 데스텔레 쉐이 아니 알레 예한테 룹투 소다 쉔게 소르 셰 인자 아니 벽에 토니 셰나스 인지 토니 셰나스 임베 인지 토니 셰나스 스기도 대인에 야타 대야 파마 망부직 폐 여장 다야 쉔게기 고티게 싱레 삼로단다레 베베자된 된다 내가 제단레 디체발라 알라마 쉔게 찍고 란데고 파마를 게임 요러봐 파마서 공부 셰단디야 디스 케베이나 아니 냠부르부터네 여러봐 파마다 쉔게 냠도 찰렌나와 임베나니 바 고티 차그레스 쉐디 땅아에 파마 인자 로추른갈 땅아 보면 두시라 땅야 라요 말와 이래디 조시슈 디리샤 파마소 아니 부구냠도 투제 가마마 땅에 계심시라르셔 계산가 가사 화이트헤드라 위구르 지열에 코나 사이언티스트 페토브레 코나 화이트헤드 랩 디렉터 코나스도 학 가져 탐바이네야 부구기 셈나라 닝톱디 체아게 그랬어도 나중에 탐야 루스도 말와 아 다 가시야데 캘리포니아 디디 West Coast attitude 제제 하이 바이 탐게 되는 연도 하버래 디 야가를 쓰고도 호세 간스나 도난 중스 간수 에이시안 부구레 믹스 벼 부군서 여봐 나의 다랑 춘주 살론 제대로 할 진들 데 라바이네 야블로 데버 데르바 티바 여벨라는 고구르 제로야 가서 딩니 가서 닝닝 톱 지어로 딩기 닝기 톱디 왜 열다 이네 망르직 제지도와 데 가서나 당보코라 닝디 소와드 데버레도와 feelings da emotions da ba 디슈크 쳔부 체발라 안 파마게 가져 탐바 이내야 디기야니 파조라 초와디 슈크쳔블레 용데오 칸라 파조 깨제 셰쇼 디고고쇼 라데오 칸라 삼로 뉘시 지어봐 오 디미 쳔보레 카가레 사바 마용에 된다르 부근ing도 아다 뭐 탐이야 디베 개쳔부르 쓰거든 다데 가나 신교르다 scientifically 부 가져 탐바 이내야 디게 디스 닝도 차요사 디스 부 곱센 스다다 라야 진들 대여 갑을 티버고에 맨날 라고짱지 따 샤샤고 도야 가서 티버 띵사고 시고고에 잡로 대월 하지 이게 티버데 코코 슬라이 차고 도야 데 가르도서나 곱세도 시고 탐거도 탐야 되기 콘솔라 직 셈슈다 마스네 지겨로 할로래 디 망아 용고사래 저선사 가서 탐야 개천버려도다 말해 아들이 뒤져 땅에 들으셔 다 파마 이내야 파 이내 마이내 두서 땅스 되올 인지 미지 담을 대체 주도 제나야 타이거 몸나시 말다 주도 제타사지 여러와야 딜라고 말다 냠도 대체 여러와야 냠도 대체 아리 쉐겨서 라그래 라마 만종마 시자 예백까든데 여 말다 켜 라지 여러와야 가서 비중로 띵모 달리신 살론 시켜데 칼라사스 라지도 띠야 망다고 서래 가서 코솔라 사제스테 고고도 와 사제스테 코드 삼주지니 여러시에 가서 계신데 만징에 차루고도 와 뒤즈 땅 고고도 땅 라도 데르다야 수망 녀라고 왔다 땅 라도야 시샤랑으로 와야 아니 디 셈슈케라라 완 제투구레 약보레 라이즈도 가서 람상 kho라야 가서 롭달라 랍랍니기 로야 롭다 게겐다 사메 칼라르스나 캡쳐버레다스 로야 너거 봐 빼골 RT였다 맞아 나고마 시작한 마음 도중 보고 삼알 RT였어 R 가와도 안 요 말다가 삼알라 비켜 레퓨지레다 RT였 맞아 라으로 닝지 보고 RT였어 삼으로 와야 랑제지 example 뜬거도 와 랑제 친구 갑으로 와 보고 친구 갑라 탁바 찍다 징발라 아니 보고 친구지 그러다 미치 주대대거도 와 주대대거도 와 랑제 친구 시우차사르다 베타 밀레 숙책으로 와야 이내 충두인 콜라 타고 따지 주대 여자 콜라 타고 따 주보다 랑제 친구를 구동을 차두고도 와 타고 친구질 따고 말다 간스나 랑제 그 삼로 키단디 충두네 타고 친구 시다 여자 주 여자 타가 타고 따 잡을 줄로 구르고래 삼 랑제 친구 톱 친구 시부 차사르다 밑에 코다 파위지 밑주 있는 린 로통에 된데다 이내 타고 따와 람사 가바티네 로두고도 와 디칸스는 삼로 땅땅 들어도 와. 봐야. 내가 주기 당보를 하니 그 탁바디 마다바 체 아르다. 그 잡제버레다. 그 칸자고 셰마니와 그 빠마 가져갈래 야래. 빨라물라 가져가래. 요스 랍데바 이너라 닝제. 시규 요 말이 지규 요 말이 짱야 삼 데바 이나 아니 보고 이내야 진다 나라에 아니야 시규 요마래 뒤는 튕규 요마 yapyapyapyapyap하 되거든. 디선상 아주 파마게 게 망부시부시 요사래. 다디 나랑기 디인다. 용서 예자탕아 빨아지고 알아. 제윤되어 가라니 알레 딘데레도 와세지도. 부글라 심슈바에 백해신 버리셔. You guys liked it? I told your parents, don't be tiger mom. Right? Give you space. Let you speak your mind. Don't scold them. Right? During when we were young at Shija, we had only dal bhat. You should be, appreciating what we cook for you. Right? They said all the time, right? Yeah, laudo redo ataya. 이래 야코 디 가서 선점 지어라 봐. 디야 개침부레시야. 파마게 축제부시다. 고디 차고고 여버라 당보라 안지고 심슈진지 고고 알아 봐. 아니 나의 차롱 제외 갈라 통셉니라 봐. 나데 당기 까물라 데도 수나다 당기 라데 수나다 아니 비슝럽다 도버레 다 dum치 망 신구도 열에 녜빠라 김제 열에 빠상라 생기지. 코나 뜨니. 아니 코나 나중 비슝럽다 쓰고 말해. 나지 따라라 호정가 진짜 찍고도 아야. 비중로 한 수고 말씀을 나도 님버 침부 떼요 말아. 따라를 중국대가 거의 용에 님버 침부 떼고 알아라더라. 그 야가 쓰고도 아야. 나서 동생 마추를 떼요 말아. 마추를 하대래. 아 나서 이게 빨라 족부 주래. 빠산라 코라 파게 딜라람 되고. 코라 야래 수나다 롭다 치고 알았다. 파게 도고래스 라브래. 아니 나서 동생 가야 말 파주니 숨 주래. 아니 파주 직송. 영어 dumde shenyo ba gumang apja chakpa chi chösham la sha ange pawa gadine lagre che phuta lobda dongere dasta chösham la gumang apja chakpa chi doasta ngalo chakpa di tadi chena lobda ta ra da ngazu phaju di zong swa lagor ta yor wa ya phaju zong chi da lobda dogor yor wa adene ar sunada bishung lobda doya ra bre adene ngasa sapember nimala ngal ana shi shi nyemba yore ana 시디게 아니가 디양 가서 초간의 지리뉴 사실 도 살롱 치교래 디윈데요 가라 충두육갑라 아니 나치 여러봐 시경 차기 삼로디 코르게 말아와 지당 시경 차기를 이내야 파메레 레제데 개개기 가도 있네야 다 벼집에 짜대 된다 친구 최고라다 as더니 개개기 럽럽니 그러야 럽고에 대 개침부르셔 디도건 연구가 말다 아 최기 되 야최지 시용도 여러봐야 라밥 두제 라라이네 마 밥레레스 여러봐 말 간데다 밥이네 세르기 깬자다오지 여러봐 간데 삼대고 알아 야락 심슈 최고다 켜서 벼자된 최고다 아주 시를 들라 나머지라 이네 고고니 세미나를 박자들 하고도 와 정말 침부 차용되고 하려나 제고도 세시도 캔슬 라바인 말 심슈도 가는 레벨을 라바이나 충돌감을 시시한 얘기 세미나 박자 디기 즉 최고래 삼삼도 여라 가리 최고래 삼삼도 여 말다 아데네다 다즐링레 데네 델리 유니버시티 도르와 아니 룹투 셴게 슌르나 즈브레 아니 바게 기주 캡드윈 캡게 개굴라 별랑오고 제치 정가 주든 체운 다데 로고레 겸슝자 메라당가 로고레 겸슝 오고되고 인디아 게들롱 오고치가 도잔 제대고 왔다 김센 나 델리 유니버시티 여백갑을 톨럽 여백갑을 날 도고를 하게 요 말다 이내야 파마다 기게 레지치 최고를 럽럽니게 박자디기 디존자 칸즈 부고 알아봐 중화 고디 최고고 여나 뒤딱도 막 마탈라야 야야 시경 라스수 라스와스타야 따따레다라나 양알랑알 견주 제만 열라마도 나 감지 키메다야 예 랍니 랍스 말라라 야야 벼벼 빨란즈 라고치에 뺏겨버렸다 나다 가이 러그메르바 이네 캔 다린 고서와 시수그 랍스와 란여 메신저 제알 부고 사방 알아 롱나이 줘봐 꼭 가르쳐 갈래 산진 가서 고디 제 러그두스라리 감주잖아 I didn't say this, okay? If your parents tell you, Sisur said this, so I'm telling you, don't listen to them, okay? 얘기야 dir samju jele chigorda roya ko jab tang go marta labya rai ne ji yorwa che ani ga di deli tholob le an chik che ni che ani shunu na zu yorwa simshu de kanelle res laba yimba ina de gege le ji se sha ani ne ye dajlik x ga she shi do na damsla da si jo tangbol le ani ga di chuo kongo do wa chuo kodo khadu ne chuo ngombo yena kudung ngombo roya 도동가보 매칭 공고 매칭 가 다즐링디 인사베 슈글라 가도 강사마라와 네발 매칭디 인지미지 공고다 로야 나 담슬레라 디딕마스 랑에 동가라 라야 다다 똑똑 살라 지어봐 나서 배거라 추버 찍닝바지 거여라 와야 아니 졸라지기 고구르구르구르 고 덴데르 독도 세로 나서 가서 다진 카스게다 잉디도 와야 다딩이 지구여 말다 당에 라오 좀서 춘주니 쌤기 박자 그러와야 둘로 고야 이내야 알아 다진이 소부터 söylüyor도 와야 콤박 야단데 다진이 소부터 söylüyor 뭐 동아 랑식 덴데 랑 매진 공에 작 말와야 나도 인샤샤 저거라 다진 누구도 쳤다다 똑똑 살 미신 나보 공도스 단대 그런 데서 러글러글 열어 다들 가르쳐서 라바이나 코 예스 얘들도 충주값네 김지기 제당 그러와 롭다기 그 랍당 she당기 아니 소부터선 야레교래도 와 마도직베 미직 두스 돼야지 매버다 디송사 나도 참매기 지조 이내래 낭매 이내래 빙야 이내래 기겐 레제 이내래 가르치기 열에 디기 안 수수부고 고지 참아샤디 두스 충들가라는 소부터서 용도 디레레샤 아지야 삼서 나를 미시 건조다 디여러 매진 건조를 껴줘 가지리 치고 그랬어 내가 로마모 거스다 제일 때대로 엑스 다질링서 나를 잡죠 치긴 치면도 여러 봐 디송사 아니 다 파마기 개체 봐 되네 다 당소가 가르치고 그랬으나 당가라 미즈나 지겨러 엄마 신두체 랭귀베체 아니가 Sikyong che 수로 당 하버드 토럽을 당소 진짜 구분 중이 진들랍고 알아봐. 아 라바 당부 인자 칸디데 차그레 섭승가 태좀여다. 하버드 로스쿨 글롭투 랍라들 graduate students 봐. 백갈래 하고 열에 섭수. 이내야 예자 옐랍조 리뷰디 되샤. 룹두 속 열어봐. 콘소 사마토니 챙겨고도 디번 이사라 랭겨고도다. 야지직니 쭉 가져대게 했어봐. 아니 디번 이사라 랭겨고도. 얍네 리뷰 domne 가슬려도 nga semba chola la 10 out of 10 takara 아하하하 네 말 펜델 라브로 심슈 파스 차랑기 당보나 라마스야 9.5 out of 10 아니 이게 팀바디 토레 가젤 8 out of 10 라바이나 이게 excellent 쓰고 그랬어 9.5 out of 10 어스라야 디송사 나라 가사 아니 하버드 덴디치글라 게게 제투야 삼로도 요마라봐 이내 야당에 논인군 고츠브레 아니 달래 리뷰도 되려라 알레 어스레도 왔삼스 다데 데르다야 나라 시자 다즐링 게게 레제 창매게 까딜 때는 와야 소부터선 야레샤 교치러봐 대지 리뷰 야골레데샤 된다갈 알레 게 샴데랑 슈민도 삼삼 저와야 하게 게 독도 하르스고르스나 다 gem바솔라 이네레다 롭종 라 타요민도 나 단다 이네야 단다 달로가 진짜 가르 랭구였으나 에이시아 히스토리지도와 에이시아 용기 딩월라가 야나레 딩월라 망조간레 딩월라 막치 로니동 나라 마 침보 가져가 나 세메스터 레를 진짜 레를 랭가 두고다가 데블로그에 진짜 랭가 두고에 여러 봐 롭종 단대 제대고 왔다 지송사 여러 to all the youngsters even today I study so I take classes I go to learn 가서는 아마 되지에 다 단다 어리다 야나 망치 침보 여그레 여 말했을 돌링 침보 쉬우 두고도 와나 다와시 쇼글레 똥다 마물로 살 아니 마 되는게지 셰윤데 할라 띵삽 셰여와 저거 딤체 아데네 망조 마르게 두고 어레 요마 돌링 침부 쉬우스 두고 어레 당소디 여와 미지 링루 스네레 디치루 쉬우 두고 어레 망조 냠고 어레 쓰고 어레 진짜 차산 렌사레 데 갈라스나 베베 인자 베권 디시 야고 죽나 야나권 인지 미지 신고고도 와 야나마 신네 베권 디시 야고 야신 말에 믹스 게미점도 야 야나권 디시 야발라 야 에시아권 마신나 야나다 에시아 데버숙침부 쉬우지어라 와야 디시 야투고 말에 야 야나 케바 투데요 갈라레다 베데 야나 찍고 신고여나 고즈 망아 신고하러 와 에시아권 신고고 다 야나다 에시아 드네 예지톤 신고고 디소성에 삼미바 안 디데요 갈란데 다 디게 삼을 롭죠 제체 안 도데고 산다 And then I have business school le zindish lab go or candidate school le zindish lab go or chepsi lobder da phagi song lobder law school le lab go or divinity school lab che and nga thanda pass chan do de lava khali khali dabu do ya San Francisco nima chha in sar yor wa ho de la ma de la che success dabu gir samz bindu ta ka tera shira ta me da ade kungal di cho chung ma su nge lab sa bi shu la lab dab sa da de sha ma re be ro la so I'll speak in English is better for you guys, yeah? So how to be a leader and why you should contribute towards the Tibetan cause. And if you have any questions, what you should do in life and all that, feel free to ask me later, okay? First of all, now, most of you are born and brought up in the US, right? I'm sure you are a bit confused that am I more American or Tibetan or Asian or a minority, right? There's a bit of an identity, I don't want to say crisis, but always this dilemma, right? When you go to school, you are more Americanized. When you come to home, parents tell you are Tibetan, right? But I always say that you should integrate into American system. That means you follow the constitution, law, regulations, do everything that you have to do as an American, but don't get assimilated. Assimilated means from cultural point of view, values point of view, mindset point of view, you become completely Americanized. So integrate, but don't assimilate. It's a fine balance. One example I had was like 20 years ago, I was in a marriage. There was marriage going on. And then I met this Korean woman. And then I asked her, so where you from? She said, I'm American. Because we are Tibetans, right? We always think I'm a Tibetan. I want to go to India. I want to go to Shija. You feel that, you have that affinity. So I asked her, so where are you actually from? She said, oh, yeah. My parents came from Korea, but I hate Korea. I said, don't you go to Korea? I said, no, I hate that country. I don't go at all. I was like shocked. She is Korean. She doesn't want to go to Korea. She doesn't like Korea. That was shocking to me. So that means she's completely assimilated. She just thinks she's completely American. And nothing to do with Korea. And I felt that's so sad. But she lost something rich within her, being a Korean. Now, and the fact is, if you assimilate, yes, you can say I'm American, but actually, this is not racism, okay? But generally, yeah, Americans will also look at you as a bit different. Let's face it. You can never be completely assimilated, and Americans will actually embrace you. There could be some, I'm sure in San Francisco there are some left-leaning, ultra-left people who say, oh yes, but generally it's a fact. So you should always, remember that you are a Tibetan. Now to remember, you should know about yourself. To do that, you must study about Tibet. It's very important. So in high school or college, you should always try to write a paper on Tibet. If you do research, write a thesis paper or class paper, more you write about it, more you know about it. That's very important. Now, if you want to be, and then generally mindset is, there's very common saying, ordinary minds discuss people. Average minds discuss events. Great minds discuss ideas. Right? So now you must progress from ordinary mind to average to great minds. So now talking about ideas, now we should think as far as Tibet movement is concerned, how we should reinvent ourselves. Reinvention of movement is very important. If you study any movement around the world, whether it's civil rights movement in America, it's always they go through the roller coaster ride. Sometimes civil rights movement at its peak, then it goes down, comes back, goes down, comes back. Then they succeed. If you study African National Congress movement, right? They go up, Nelson Mandela go to prison, go down, again they come back, and they go down, then they come back. So that's a reality of any movement. And then when they go down, lack of creativity, lack of invention, lack of new ideas will take you down. And then if you come back, you come back when you come with new ideas. Now SFT, being a co-organizer, I must give kudos and praise them. Right? The fact that the Confucius Institutes, in the U.S., in many universities in the U.S. got shut down, primarily because SFT led the movement against Confucius Institute. Recently, Thermo Fisher, right? See, it's a very successful movement. Pamasoyna po ke go warta, right? Confucius Institute lagi ngoma tholop khala gyana shung dosong tang she Confucius Institute really su yungde khala rwa. Phe kon doleng checho go mare. Gyana mangso kon doleng checho tholop yong la rada. Ta dige go jatho su che lup tu soba ke lengu pe che go jap thu chung rwa. Ani nyeja phe ni di cheso wa ngazu ge ta think dus DNA collection chig dus ye joba. Dige company di Thermo Fisher lang Cambridge based Ari based company chire. Dige ta di testing kit di khunzu songore. And as if the khunzu ngogo che Thermo ken samyo ada company chembu shiure $1 billion ngu yore ngazu pugu para khang chingna khar chaya samgor. Ngone che go jabre jela Thermo Fisher ge contract di che New York mess. And in the recent, organically, there was something beautiful has happened in the Tibetan world. What is that? Lakara dance and song. Well, look, who started this? There was no leader. No one said, oh, this Lakar, you must dance, you must sing, you must wear traditional dress. No one said that. Right? So if you, in any movement, of course, leader and leaders are important. Often ideas don't come from leaders. It just happened organically. And it's so beautiful. Inside Tibet, to India, to US, to Toronto, very famous, right? Now if you look at Toronto and if you look at Chengdu or Lhasa, Tibetan dancing, almost dress, everything, Europe, import, export, it's so beautiful. Who started this? Just organically. Youth. There, Marwe. And in fact, it's true. I'll come to this topic. If you're interested, I'll come to this. In the recent years, this is not a criticism, it's a fact, that Tibet as an issue has lost from the headlines of news media. If you listen to American president meeting Chinese President Xi Jinping, or American, the Secretary of State meeting Chinese Secretary of State, when they make statements or issue press releases, in press releases, sometimes they mention Tibet. But in live press conferences, they mention Taiwan, they mention Hong Kong, they mention Xinjiang. Tibet has lost from the headlines. It's a fact. So you just think, oh, Tibet is now losing its steam. It's also not true. Because internally, the beautiful Lakar movement, it's there. Chiloni menerwa, nangloni ya ngazu lang yungdo ya. Tada tangza chuba da wunju kante tok kante do tangzo kunge yorwa ya. Medewe ajla da anti da ama yorwa tangzo changma. Ani mixe she tabde khala. Ngazu kabla da ngazu Delhi University yewe kabla rawa. Lingui pe sabe shugla dance labada bet khora mithun ge rawa. Tangro ya. I am a disco dancer re mother ya. Nowadays, when you have gathering, when we say dance, Bollywood song, you go like that, Nowadays, however, that she had the Tabia Rabuda, Lakar bed, Persian tab, you don't roya. So you jell mother, Yagashi, window. What it shows is assertion of our identity. So we, the Tibetans, are embracing our culture, our identity, our custom, and taking pride in it. That's it. ngazu ge phui gyan la mangpo pe sanju lobda ra wa changma thuche shwe inda right? 이내야 비gel라서 비창고래다 가가가가 랍랍랍 로추 도사로 단도 가가가가니 열게 죽으면 더야 다 당소로 와야 표시의 탑 표지의 괴 로야 보고서 씩 탑이 운동을 가버려 보시면 돼 그러면 표지의 괴 라되고 다리 세버져 와 라그로 하야 당소 표지의 괴 간데 잉도 로야 아니 무슨 내가 시직 탑 당소 시주차시 그러면 시숨을 해말다 주 단도 주영아 로야 다들 가르던 거라서나 배발랑의 딩니래다 미리기 샤시의 유행에 그봐 나랑저 배배기 빼유 로줄라래다 가부칭에 먼저 빼미 점버래다 레더 말돼 미 점버다 so we all must take pride being a Tibetan we are one of great people if you read our history great kings you ever imagine in 7th and 8th centuries 7th and 8th century, that's like, 1,300 years ago, Tibetan scholars from Tibet went to India, spent years learning Sanskrit, and translated Buddhist texts into Tibetan and brought it back to Tibet. 항상. 드럽 듬바 개바 단단하고요. 다 표현 사도 표현이 망부 시부지 여러와. 그나서 좀 녀다 깔래하고 빼면 돼. 페넬 해산이 트럭나 줄레이 강젤레수 시가젤레수 기롱 산잠레수 데네 아니 베드 식난케는 고바겐레이 네팔리 폴리스키 대수 주수 파땅수 수땅수 아보 사메든데라도 하야. 다 롯직동 수명원 섬탄다. 로자와 수수수 도보지키 세바라칸 응바라칸 쿵 아니 랑가를 젠시기 사고르 꾸마기 좀고르 착박이 세고르다. If there were like 10 scholars who trekked from Tibet to India, 6 or 7 die on the way. They get killed, they get robbed, even wild animals eat them because there was no road. They just walked through the forest. Still, how many scholars came to India, learned Sanskrit, went back and translated Tibetan as a Buddhist text in Tibetan? 항상 여러분. Now imagine now, you go to India, okay? Spend 3 years, learn Hindi, translate Buddhist text from Hindi to Tibetan or to English. Try. Imagine. 항상 their determination, their commitment. So yes, we are talking about political struggle. But spiritually also, look how determined, how proud, how patriotic, how courageous Tibetans were like 1,300 years ago. 항상 여러와 말해봐야 된대. 여러와 다야 예자 예미 가르치고 변나라 they're repressing, discouraging Tibetan culture. They're sending the million children to boarding school so that they learn in Chinese, speak Chinese, and salute Mao Zedong and Xi Jinping, forget his Solan Dharma, forget Buddha. That's what they're trying. But organically, Chinese Tibetans say, no, we will sing our song, we will dance our dance, we'll wear our costume, right? And then make it as fashionable as possible and make it as beautiful as possible. Right? That shows we are really great people. We are very capable people. So we all must take pride. So I had the fortune of serving as Sikyong for 10 years. Now I've traveled around the world. Now I'm writing a book on how to set up and run democratic government exile. So now imagine, Belarusian, okay, they are in exile. Afghans, they are in exile. Syrian, they are in exile. Burmese, they are in exile. And Venezuelan, right? And of course, Uyghur, Hong Kong, and Mongolians. So I have a roundtable discussion, because they all are saying, no, we want to learn from Tibetan government exile. They all want to adopt, start government exile. And Uyghurs, my friends, they openly say that, oh, we learn so much from you. So I'm going to May to the World Uyghur Congress 20th anniversary in the month of May, early May. And I'm asked to speak on how to set up democratic government exile. So the World Uyghur Congress could be Uyghur government exile. And we are the example. There are 150 million refugees. They lost their countries. Afghanistan, all of them. What they say, they want to learn from us. How do you set up? How do you run government exile? So I have 15 years of experience academically. I wrote my doctorate dissertation on how to set up government exile. And I have 10 years of practical experience. And I applied to a foundation for funding to write this book. Foundation say, absolutely, you are the best person to do it because you have 15 years of academic background and 10 years of practical experience. You are the best person to do it. And I'm meeting someone from General McMaster here at Hoover Institute here at Stanford, because they are also trying to set up, help Venezuelans to how to set up government exile. But then, Peshung dimik betasa Reda, capture samagi. Zenju shung kenzo kandis chetuwar. Konsolda shunge yomar, legu yomare. Yomarda. Peshung kande kenzo shija, menga, lopta, tezo. Tezo tangi hangde yoro. Tezo tukbo doaya. Yela ye poshin lai khazung goza ngaza Venezuela khuzunga group discussion chero. Ngazu phebe nal thangsom yoroba mangshu khartago hagu we larba. Normally Americans what they watch reality show right? All the reality shows right? And these youth they like to watch BTS right? Listen to Weekend Dre right? Marve right? Oh. And play Roblox right? Dragon game Marve. I know all your secrets, okay? Don't pretend. Yeah. If you open the social media usage, it crosses 6 hours a day, I know. Instagram, yeah, TikTok, so, you can't share this, but get your total Namshi Yaktasha, Yorwa. La Tuso, Ayelade. So, in the Tibetan community, what is the most watched show? Tibetan Parliament. 상마다데 여기서 라브라 베네수엘라 호서 되서 땅에 망셔 가진다 벌써라 아린슬라도 we don't watch Congress sessions sir Afghan we don't watch parliament years we don't Tibetans for us political cause political issue is so important 라 되서 라 여러분 촌이 열다 디기면도 라 디기면도 라고하다야 디족 디기도 라 디족 디기면도 라 디족 디 너데 열다 열라 내 빼야고 열라 칼라 라고해 디기도 랑게 니가기 라고르와 가디고라 되서디 디기도 쓰고 래 말이야 디기면도 쓰고 어데 디기면도 세서 라 갈라고 되서디래 딜레마 타래 요 말아와야 길을 되서 레더라면데 고마가 가서 Jewish talk보지 I had a Jewish friend and he said do you Tibetans fight I said yeah but we are non-violence we don't no you must fight when you fight you keep your cause burning. If you don't fight, then it loses flame and you disappear. So there's a saying in Jewish, right? If there are 4 Jewish, there are 5 opinions. If there are 5 Jewish, there are 6 organizations. But they kept fighting for 2,000 plus years. Finally, they got the country back, Israel. They're still strongest in America, Europe, wherever. Why? They're constantly debating and disagreeing and criticizing each other. What are they criticizing? Jewishness, their country, their religion, their faith. That's why they are so strong. So we must fight. Ordinary minds discuss people. Level kumachi yorwa, kalawa, mi kondra, shedegre. Level ding ding yonarwa, ledon de shigre. Level yakshu karchigre, idea. Nasatanda pass hajurea, Nasatanda. Mik Tanya Raya, Coach Quencha, Tanda Mardova, the Tosa, Conjo Tonsa, Cododa Tosa. Imbereo. Tona Tomas dom the Chirachu, the Lachero. Mota me cota bella, didn't let this Sachero. There, Marave. Laha. Roya. 내 계실라 쉬우쉬우 테이사리 미게치고 말두다 사실 제무세 어 닉바사는 뺐사겠다 내가 친대인다 다 세무세인다 아니 so now we must reinvent our movement That's why I've been saying, even now, after I left my job at Sikyong, I still take classes. Then first I try to, if you want to understand Tibet, if you want to explain about Tibet, you must know China. If you don't know about China, you can't explain Tibet. You can explain to Tibetans, but if you want to explain to Chinese and other audience, then you must understand China. But then to fully understand China, you must understand Asia. Now, fully understand Asia, you must understand geopolitics, international relations. So, now what is the current debate in the world? Whether there will be a war between America, the number one, and rising power China. Right? Because now, so this debate is going on generally, but you must understand fully what does it mean. So I took a class. My friend teaches at Harvard Business School on war and peace. So he teaches 2,000 years of big wars, great wars. So if you fully understand all these great wars, then when you get up and speak, I can go to any international forum, I can appear in any news media, and I can sound as good as any expert on war, because I've read thousands of pages about great wars. Now I'm taking a class on Asia. Asia from the point of view of China and Chinese. So I can explain better. And what is the dynamic? Because what they say, 21st century will be century of Asia because of economic growth. But there's also military growth. Okay? And there are potential wars. And there are potential frictions. And you must understand where are the frictions. Which countries in Asia lean towards China? Cambodia, Laos, for example. But Vietnam is confronting China. For external security, they seek help from America. But for internal security, they buy surveillance cameras, everything from China. See? So they are also hedging. Indonesia, before the president-elect, before he takes over as the president, first country he visited was China. But then Philippines, the son of the dictator Marcos, now his son, he is leaning towards America. Right? So now you must understand what is going on. Where is Thailand? Right? Where is Indonesia? Where is Singapore? Where is Korea? Where is Japan? Where are they leaning? And Burma. And now if you study Burma, very complicated. Burma has China as the border, India as border, and Thailand as border. Right? Which side, which territory of Burma lean towards China and why? So you must understand all this so that you can explain. Do you know in ASEAN countries, from whether it's Philippines, Burma, Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, the top 10 richest people, all the billionaires, who are they? Whether it's Malaysia or Thailand or Burma, all Chinese. Yeah, can you imagine? All, because they are the richest, so now will they lean towards China or will they lean towards Burma? Or whether lean towards America or not. So even now, I study. Okay? So if you want to be a great leader, you must always study. You must always do self-study. It's the most beautiful thing. To study is the most beautiful thing. You gain knowledge. And then now, wherever I'm asked to speak, before I used to, even at Harvard, I used to speak only about Tibet. Nowadays, when they're teaching on China, they ask me to give Tibetan perspective of China. And when they're teaching on Asia, they ask me to come and talk about, Tibetan perspective of Asia. See, you can always expand your knowledge and make yourself available. Now, we should reinvent. How? You must know the global discourse. Great war. Now, where should we put ourselves so that we can navigate? Now, if there's a war between America and China, how will you articulate your cause? Will you say, non-violence, I'm out of here? Are you going to say that? If you say out of here, they say, okay, you stay on the side, and we will not discuss about you, we will not support you, we will not talk about you. Now, you must make yourself relevant in the discourse. Where are you going to put yourself? So we must think ahead, because this is going to happen. Now, climate change is happening. It's real. The importance of Tibet. How are you going to articulate it? Recently, there was this scholar from America. Just few days ago, he was giving a talk at Harvard Kennedy School, and he was talking about the trade war is going on between America and China. America imposed a lot of tax on Chinese imports. He was explaining, 아니 the narrative 라그로 갑자기 갈라고 그러스나 아리 그테 갭체 아리 그 누누치기도 슬랍니다 야나슝기 시에디레 나저 디삼기도 아야 트럼플레체 게미기 잘라라 테침보 갭체 여러봐 아니 게미 딱딱스스 라고요 방지 와야 다 초심바 할로 디 야고 말해라고 그래 이 코나 티버코이 총디라 예바 땅에 테야야디 게미 고츠르다스 이거 티버코이 봐 칸스네 덴마크 고마 굽주 컵든 컵게라 페웨간라 야나간라 도아미 톱다간라 저저 샤기 일라데 UNSCR 냠데게서 돌링 체브레 저저 기대오간라 예미 가르체레 덴마크 총상마 까샤레 야나 잘라 쫑 먹었어 뉴그 메슬라 니동줄로라 노르웨네 노벨 피스 커미티 그래다 루샤발 노벨 피스 프라이스 나 루샤바 타 노벨 피스 커미티 노르웨슈 데바치에 요 말다 야나 가르체라고 노르웨 총상마 까샤레 계속이 디 사면 요금에스 계속 잘라 요금에 손자 초금에스 노르웨 잘라 가서는 택 야적 야 얘기 숨지 야샤 스웨덴 기르와 탭종의직 야나 견주칭 탭종고 코 타일랜드 비치 데데야다 게미방밀레 키칭시 게미 종알 루샤 스웨덴 기 ngogoche 갈라 ngogoche 초금멜 스웨덴 기 총상마 까샤 오스트레일리아 그래다 단다 실륜데기 팬데믹 간에 구수 가서 하고도 야나니 고수를 쏘 가서 하고도라다 오스트레일리아 잘라서는 요 와인 요금을 까셔. 당에 갈라인스나 게미기 따바 갈라고도스나 어리기 게미기 잘라라 테 갑체 테치보 갑체 송대 당부 지기면 두스 러그두스 근데 총간에 테 갑 고중에 켄소이 봐 켄소 루숨주니 덴마크다 노르웨이다 슬로바키아다 스위트저랜드 아니 상말 야데인 발라로 거기 레기야 메니 여러와 눈에 담고 켄소를 라인 봐 다들 갈라 디송사 아리 주마줄라스 안디고 라임에게 차도 와야 so you have to 가서 삼로 땅고도 가서기 짜대데 간데스 디시 얘기했어요 다 가서 갈라 그래 아리다 야나버로 총디 야베서 야고 민두스 다 아리다 야나 깨지 시오두스 win-win mutually beneficial dialogue 채우두스 야메나 슝다 케바 술렌 디시 그래 아리다 야나다 깨시 디시 그래 얘라고 빼야버rel라 야나기 그봐 님의 돌랭 까메낭지 내든 세 빼야버래 가서 로 10주니 켄점도 깨지 시기 라디오 켄서 가서 시기면도 알라이 So my point is you must understand what Chinese government officials are saying and you must articulate in a manner and you must come with your own narrative why they are on the wrong side. For example, I was explaining about the tariff. Normally what we say is, oh, Trump imposed a tariff on Chinese goods. And they were penalized and it's wrong. It affects Americans, it harms Americans and they say we must have dialogue, sort this out. But actually China always used to impose tariff. When Denmark used to try to move a resolution at the UNSCR, China cut off trade with Denmark. When His Holiness was invited to Switzerland and the foreign minister met, they cut off trade with Switzerland. When Nobel Prize was given to Liu Xiaobo, Nobel Peace Committee, China cut off and imposed tariff on Norwegian goods. So they've been weaponizing trade for 30 years. But then now the way they talk as though it's America's fault, America is weaponizing trade, is so unfair. But as you've been doing it 30 years. So what I'm trying to say is when you reinvent our cause, you must reinterpret. You must control the narrative. To do that, you must understand what Chinese are saying, what they're doing, and then explain. 계속해. 왜? Very good. So now, as you can clearly see, I'm being a teacher now. I can go on and on. My class is for 2 hours, and I teach a seminar. So I can go on and talk for 2 hours, okay? But I won't do that. I just want to say thank you to Tenzin Deshala, and we had two excellent MCs, yes, Sidigila and Duenla, right? Ming Jamin Doya. I do remember, so you have to remember, okay? So yesterday I met few people at the airport. Today I met them again. I could tell them, oh, yesterday you were wearing black chuba and wonju. Yesterday this wonju, that wonju. No, you must, to be a leader, if you want, you must remember all the small things. Huh? Yes or no? It's very important. Huh? Next time they'll come, oh, do you remember I was wearing that chuba in San Francisco? I have no idea. But in 48 hours, I can always say, oh, you like that, you're oh. So it's very important, okay? If you want to be a leader, you must practice this to remember people, to remember what they're wearing, what they're saying, you know? And then because everybody, normally, this is what I realized, everybody would like to be appreciated. Now, when I became Sikyong, of course, the president, a high-profile protocol. So one day in my office, I was just going through social media, and I found some of the CTA staff members, you know, the drivers, the Dinzora Majen, the Facebook, Tonswa. I went through, and they're all like busy. So if you go by ranking, they rank the lowest. Right? If you go by hierarchy, they rank lowest. But if you go through the social media, they are like full of their own identity, pride. Hey, you, and then they're commenting with each other. That means at an individual level, whether it's cook or a driver, at the lowest level, they are human beings. They have the sense of dignity, they have a sense of pride, and often we overlook and look down upon them. You should never do that. You know? So why these people who are singing Sungda Lemoso outside? That's my favorite song. So you make your few moves, the second place, next place I go, they will sing the same song. You see? Why? I'm planting that. So all this. I've been very fortunate to work very closely with His Holiness. And then, for me, each time I go through trouble or challenges or dilemma, confusion, His Holiness was right next to me. And then I share with him, and he gives me lots of wisdom that helped me a lot. This famous, I've shared this story, Minnesota somewhere. His Holiness giving a teaching. And then, I had, sometimes I had the privilege of riding in the same car with him. And then His Holiness, he says, oh, go this way. So did you understand what I was saying? He was teaching for an hour and a half or 2 hours. Now you have to be very honest with His Holiness. Yes or no? So Your Holiness, I said, I understood 50, maybe 60, 70% while you were teaching. But I forgot most of it when you finished teaching. It's a fact, yes or no? Suddenly someone speaks very, wow, so nice. And as the event is over, what did he say? Yeah, I don't even remember. So it's like, he's always looking at me. And then I said, but I said, the problem that I have, the challenge, it became smaller. And he said, no. The challenge or the problem never becomes smaller. Your perspective becomes bigger, holistic. Right? Then he said, for example, you are Sikyong, right? So remember, before you, in this world, there were hundreds and thousands of kings and queens and prime ministers and presidents. All have been through same or similar problem like you. Many have solved it, many have not. And then many kings and presidents, prime minister, for centuries to come will have same or similar problem. And some will solve it, some will not solve it. I was like, oh, my God. You always think, right, there's a problem in front of you. You have to solve it like Jorwa. I said, oh my God, hundreds of them could not solve it, so no big deal, Hundreds will not solve, so no big deal like that. So you're not attached with the problem, but you're attached with the process, with your efforts. Because result is out of your hand. Result is out of your hand. What you can control is your efforts. If you are sincere in your efforts, if you are very dedicated in your efforts, sometimes you succeed, sometimes you don't. So don't be obsessed with the result, with the goal, but obsessed with the process and your efforts. And as long as you do that, you are happy. So great Shantideva said, right? This very famous thing. If you can solve a problem, why worry about it? If you cannot solve a problem, what is the point of worrying about it? Because you're not going to solve it. So what's the point of worrying? You worry too much. Oh my God, I cannot solve it. But in the process of worrying, what happens? It dampens your enthusiasm, it drains you emotionally, it drains you physically. By the time the problem is in front of you, whether there's a solution or you're exhausted. That's why, if you're SFT activist, right, what they call it, what burn? You get burnout. Often, Americans, I've met some Tibet support groups. I've been working and supporting Tibet for like 5 years. Now I'm burnt out because they were too obsessed with the result. They just think, I must free Tibet now, next year. And then when year, 2 years, 3 years passes, and when it doesn't, happen, it's like, I'm burnt out now. I can't do it. I said, no. You be obsessed with the effort. Whether it happens or not, it's out of your control. That's why we believe in lay. So the karma is very helpful, very beautiful. So if you get good grades, be happy. If you don't get good grades, you just say next time. We are so obsessed with grades, yes or no? So, oh my God, parents, where is your result? Are you studying tomorrow? You must get A. Are you good? Parents are obsessed with result, yes or no? Don't be obsessed with results. Be obsessed with efforts. Because the Lobsang Sangya Lak result 다 가르치러 엄마 당에 다 부근데 다 드네 제제 냐라라 도야래서 상인데다 배트코라 버클리 홈레스 셔틀 주시 당에 다 가르치죠. Same day 여러와야. And then often people ask me, so how come in my 10 years of my service, there were a lot of praises. Some people praise you, some people criticize you, and then people always say, how do you handle this, Very simple. Again, great Shantideva said, if someone praise you, don't get too excited, Deshin. Okay? Why? Because there are others criticizing you. But then when people criticize you, don't get too upset. Why? There are others praising you. So that's called what is that called? Equanimity. Okay? In Buddhism, if you are Tibetan, you must know about equanimity. Okay. So people always talk about getting enlightened, Buddhahood and all that, right? That's next level. But at our level, equanimity is very important. When someone criticizes you, hey, you know how many people praising me? When some people say, thank you, but I know there are others criticizing me, So you walk your path. In life, you don't have to make enemies. Again, I learned this very, very quickly. When I was activist at Delhi University, I worked so hard for Tibet Youth Congress. I went to prison and we raised the largest fundraising and we organized the most activities. At year end, some people were criticizing me, They were like campaigning against me. I got shock of my life. I was like, oh my God, what did I do, I've never met these people. I don't know these people. But they just hate you. Again, you must know in life, there will be people who will not like you no matter what. Exactly, right? They are acknowledged. Yeah, I've been saying that, But at the same time, there will be people like you no matter what. You understand? So that's what I'm saying. Don't get influenced by what people are saying or doing. Be influenced by what you're thinking and what you want to do. At lunch, I just met few people who said they didn't vote for me in 2011. They voted for me in 2016, but they have never met me. They're meeting me for the first time in my life. I've never met many people, or so many people, they support. I've never met them in my life, right? So as long as you are sincere in your mindset and in your efforts, there will be people who will appreciate you. And then law of karma kicks in, Those naysayers, they get kicked. Karma kick, they get, So, these are very, very important, okay? What else? So I've been very fortunate because, whenever I have some issues, things like that, I ask His Holiness and he gives me, mantras and he gives me advice. So I'm just imparting those things. Okay? So with that, that's sumba simro do yorwa nga ya lan keji shela ngi dojang chigirta ho. Ine yabu chu stari yorwa nga zo chizo dan chapsi den ma shebe chi yorwa chi yong kon she labrwa ya nga gabu de chu. So with that I end and then okay, questions. Tiba in that, huh? Okay. There's a microphone here. 내 랑치 셰샤 혼자 통나 기부동아 더 샌프란시스코 동 줌리디 통나 가부도시도 동 나고 딘데는 가 대사래
Hello, check. Okay. Just to let naming this telling ani wanzo ti konda.
No, it's not your phone, speaker.
nga pyorangz lobju soba SFT Bay Area choni ani denji lobsa singye rang denji suimba Harvard Law School gyanagi history kon class lanes la the dingsang anzo Gela tabala yora winner writes the history ani nganzu pyogi lokyu tang history the textbooks tang misinformation gyagse yora ani nganzu gyana midin zugi the nganzu forefathers like dukzu kazu mangbuta yo the some denied you the lobsa singing rangi the what do you do to combat all these denials that China the Chinese people are denying?
When I teach, I teach about history. Yeah. So it's good to inform them. I have students from China. In fact, government officials, they take classes. So what you should do is, first, that's why I said you must study what Chinese government say about Tibet. So their white paper, a 1992 white paper or 2002, that's the most elaborate one. So you read that, and then you must come with counter argument. And it's very easy to counter them. So history, they will say Tibet has always been part of China since antiquity. That's what they say, right? But then you just say, then what about, in 781, 83, during, there was a treaty was signed between Tibet and China. So in that treaty, it clearly says Tibetans will be happy in the great land of Tibet, Chinese will be happy in the great land of China, right? So hey, that document was signed by Chinese government, clearly saying Tibetans will be happy in the great land of China. And then they also say this will be the border, right? And after that, there aren't any treaties or agreement between Tibetans and Chinese, okay? And then you come all the way to 1951, 17-point agreement. And what does Article 1 say? Article 1 of 17.8, Tibet shall return to the motherland. Okay, if Tibet was always part of China, where is returning from? Right. So it's in their language only. So you must come read those documents signed by Chinese government, right? And then tell them. And then what they say, because if you recently I wrote a piece on foreign affairs on reincarnation. If you read the Global Times, article on reincarnation. They also claim that a Dalai Lama, the title, was given by Chinese emperor. Then I said, well, the term Dalai Lama is a Mongolian word. It has nothing to do with Chinese, So, it's 1573. Altan Khan, bestowed the title on Dalai Lama. So this is a Mongolian word. How come you Chinese are claiming, So you can kind of prick their, burst their argument very easily. But you must understand where they are coming from. And then they also, and these are easy to counter. And quite difficult one is this. Oh, we have made so much progress in Tibet, right? Economy has developed. Tibetans have benefited. Lifespan of Tibetans increased, They will say that. And then sometimes, we should not, the normal Tibetan side is there, Mare, no, it's not true. You should not say that. Judo? Yeah, when you play judo. Judo is you take others' strength, right? And make it their weakness, right? So similarly, this is judo kind of answer is yes. Yes. But what we are trying to say is, yes, much progress has been made in Tibet. The roads are being built, railway line has come, tall buildings have come, business is booming in Lhasa. It's all true. But who is benefiting? Now you must know facts and figures. 92% of license and business, even taxis, rickshawala, restaurants are owned or run by Chinese in Lhasa. Yes or no? Right? And say, then they will say, but still is a benefit. Yeah, but had Tibet been independent, right, we would have done the same. Bhutan has progress, Mongolia has progress, Nepal has progress, right, without Chinese help, without China's occupation of this territory, yes or no? So the fact that they have developed themselves means we could have developed ourselves. We don't need your help. The main thing, they always say, no, we have benefited you. Now, this is the real judo, okay? Yes, let's acknowledge that we have really benefited you. But you never gave us a choice that you can come to Tibet or not. That is our problem. Had we invited you willingly, had we chose you and all the things that you're doing, we would appreciate it. The fact the choice was not given, that is the fundamental flaw in the approach. Now you can say occupation, repression, or invasion, you can use all, but the choice. So you can go point by point. It's easy to rebut all their points. And then, so as I said, unless you understand China, you can't explain Tibet. And so I used to debate with Chinese all the time. And somehow I could not make them accept our narrative, our point of view. But then I knew Chinese enough, right? Chinese people enough. And one day I said, okay, you can tell them also, how much of CCTV or Xinhua News Agency or People's Daily news media, how much do you trust when it comes to Chinese issue or China's issue? And what they will say, yeah, it's 50% true, 50% not true. They don't believe the Chinese government, the Communist Party mouthpiece is, it's true. They say it's 50% not true, 50% true. Then I say, okay, which 50% on Tibet is not true? They say, no, on Tibet is 100% true. And so how can it be? Right? So you must burst where they're coming from. Then you must first make them agree that 50% of what they write about Tibet in Xinhua News Agency is not true. I say, okay, accept 50%. Then I'll put additional 50% and make you convinced that it's 100% not true. So you must understand them, okay? So that means, you have to do some research. So if you have any specific question that you face trouble or, answering, let me know. I'm good at it. Whenever they say, there will be tomorrow at Stanford, there will be Chinese students in the audience, I say, I love it. Tougher the question, I get excited. Okay, so any tough questions in Bay Area, I'm ready, huh? Yes.
Lobsang Sangya Lak. What skills or qualities do you think are most crucial for any Tibetan to be effective individuals of change?
First you must know yourself. That's a good question. In the Harvard Kennedy School, there's a very famous leadership program called Professor Heifetz. And I kind of agree with him. If you want to be leader, you want to be leader for the people, right? For the community, for the outside world. First, you must think and believe you're a leader within. But you have to ask your inner values, your inside voice. Am I good enough or am I capable of being a leader? And if you think so, right, then you'll be a better leader. So that's why the Buddha said, what you think, you become. You know this? What do you think, you become. Because what you think, you say. What you say, you do. And what you do becomes habit and your life. Because when you think that you are a leader or not a leader, that thought translates into feelings, translates into emotions. And you say, oh, I'm not. And then you say so. And when you say, I'm not a leader, I won't be a leader, you stop doing it and you will never become a leader. So first, think, right? And say and act. So I can say you need courage, you need, mindset, you need, normally leadership training, they will always say you need a strategy, planning, and, execution, implementation, and coordination, and communication. That's the standard definition of leadership. But actually, it's your feeling. Now, as a Tibetan, we must become leader because, our nation is at stake. Our civilization is at stake. Our people are suffering, and we must speak for them. Your parents, many of them here, they came from India, right? They didn't speak good English. They didn't get proper education. But they did the best they could. Now, you all are getting better education, better exposure. I wish my English command is as good as you guys. I went to Pijung Lobda. I still speak broken English. I still make grammatical mistakes. I still make mistakes in facts and figures sometimes. But I always tell myself, I am a Tibetan. I should know I'll speak for Tibet. With that mindset, I just get up. The difference between my classmates and me is just, I just get up and I always thought, I should and I will. And hence I'm here.
Dr. Lobsang Sangya Lak, Students for Free Tibet Bay and what would you tell those who have been told their aspirations are unrealistic or their dreams are unrealistic?
Who says that?
Well, just in general.
Huh?
Just in general.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Yeah, no one should say that, Unless you say, oh, I want to be next, BTS. Then you have to go to Korea, right? You could, though. You could, But there's nothing called unrealistic. I mean, that, in a simple way, the spelling of impossible, how you spell impossible? Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I am possible, right? So even in the word impossible, I am possible. Even the word is not defined as not possible. It said, I am possible. And I'm just a small thing. I really don't think there's something called unrealistic. If you say that, then the invention will stop. Creativity will stop. Growth will stop. And the world will come to a standstill. And we are talking about San Francisco, Silicon Valley, where everything, is invented, So I really don't think anything is impossible. Not real. No. But then, I differ. And in high school and teachers, they always say, in the Western culture, they always say, hey, if you have plan A, okay, but you must have plan B, right? I don't subscribe to that. I stick to plan A. Keep working at it. If you have plan B, you always think, oh, I have a plan B, then you come to plan C and you end up getting D, I always say plan A. So, the story is when I was running for Sikyong position in 2011, and I have a friend who served in Tibetan government exile. I think their son and daughter should be here. And then, he asked me, hey, Lobsang, I served in CTA for 10 years. I'm still hesitating to run for Tibetan parliament. You have never served even a day in Tibetan government exile. Okay, not even as a low bureaucrat, not a member of parliament, not even a minister. You're shooting for the top post, right? So why? He said, and I said, my friend, you hesitate, I don't. Had I thought at that time, 90% of people were telling me it's unrealistic. It's not going to happen. Even when I talk to my mother, it's like, My cousins are here. My uncle, when I called him, he's like, what don't you think? You should postpone this ambition, you know? Even your relatives and uncle are telling you, right? Forget about people, okay? I ran. I won. See? Had I thought it was unrealistic, I would not be standing here today. Yeah. Grandparents. The grandfather, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just kung gusto Lobsang Sangya Lak nga tiwajik nga inji tunil la jushi. Do that. Okay. Why do you think it's important for the youth to participate in activism as you have at your college at Delhi?
Very simple. You know what happened in October in Gaza, we all know, right? Yes, in Israel. There was a Palestinian Hamas attack Israel. It became a big news, yeah? And whole world condemned the action, right? Hamas action. But now, October, now is March, right? In 5 months' time, now if you go to any university in America, 60 to 70% of university students, faculty member, who did they support? Palestine. Yes or no? It has gone viral in Europe and in America. Yes or no? Why? Our issue is as bad as Palestine. But they get more prominence. Why? They organize events. They participate in events. You know, in Houston, 50,000 people came in support of Palestinian. In London, 50,000. In New York, 20,000 people. Even in San Francisco, I'm sure thousands come out in the streets, right? Even today. They resorted to violence. They killed hundreds of Israelis. Yes? How come they're getting so much of support? Because they organize protests, they organize events, and they have been doing this for 20 years. Why Palestinians have so much support in American universities or anywhere in the world? Because they came out with a strategy 30 years, I think 20, 30 years ago. They said, you know what we should do is invite American students to come to visit Palestine. Show them refugee camps. Make them spend 1 week, 2 weeks, 10 weeks, and send them back. They've been doing this for 10, 20 years. Now it's a matter of narrative. Now suddenly when it happened, now all those former people, all those people who visited Palestine, who saw refugee camps, they all are coming out in support of Palestine. So if you want support for Tibet, first you must show. You must ask for support. If you don't ask for support, no one will support you. To ask for support, you must organize events. You must participate in events. You must lead. You must lead, others will follow. If you expect others to come and support you without you doing anything, good luck to you. So as a Tibetan, you must participate. Any event. Unless you say, for example, we say, Tibet is under occupation, Tibetans are suffering. You must demonstrate that. How do you get support, right? To get support, first you must create awareness. Awareness will turn into sympathy. Sympathy will turn into support. Otherwise, sympathy will remain sympathy. Unless you create awareness, then it translates into support. So unless you show, so if you don't come out in the streets, if you don't organize protests and demonstrations, no one will see, no one will know, and no one will support you. So that's why I really believe that we must organize events, participate, and lead. Because if our Tibetans in Tibet are suffering, we must show the pain. If you don't show the pain by being out in the streets, no one will know. If they don't know, they will not support you. So, it's a fact in universities, right? I know I'm in colleges. Till 5 years ago, majority of people knew about His Holiness Dalai Lama. Now in campuses, if you're teaching international relations, things like, if you ask students, those in the 18, 19, 20, I have this fact, in one class, there were 56 students. 51 didn't know about Dalai Lama. Only 5 knew. And the less will know about Tibet. Why? Because we are not out there now. So now what I'm trying to do is coming to Stanford. Now I'm going to speak at Rutgers University on 12th, and I'm going to Europe. I still keep myself active because I just see this, slowly Tibet is disappearing from the news, from the awareness. So we must go campus to campus to campus to create awareness, whether there are 10 people or 20 or 100. That's the only way. There is no other way to get support. So even though, I find it very boring, flying in a plane is the most boring thing for me. Yeah? Yesterday there was a 1 hour delay. I was sitting in the plane, there was 1 hour delay. That's the most boring thing. And sleeping in a hotel room, most boring thing. White wall, same, and morning breakfast, same buffet, international buffet, same thing. It's the most boring thing. And then you go to an event, you speak 1 hour. But 23 hours, you're on your own. It's the most boring thing to do. Why I still do is I just see this lack of urgency and awareness. And Tibet is slowly, our people are suffering as bad as Palestinians or Uyghurs or Hong Kongers, right? Because we are not out there, we are losing, not getting attention. So keep at it, okay? But I saw you outside, yeah? Standing with others. But I didn't see you yesterday at the airport. Did I remember correctly? Yeah. See? I told you. Okay, Siddiqui, over there. क्या फेंके क्या वो सर रे या
Yiming Pujayin.
दारा
Ngala
ये फेंके क्या वो सर के माखो ना क्या नहीं रुवा टेस्ट ले लग दो आगे तो इंदा पूजा सुंदा
Protest so policy change la gel champore ari shunki policy kya kar shunki policy yinayang protest phanang la infrastructure change gyanak shunki infrastructure mampore with military implications on neighboring countries. So those things that are difficult to impact through peaceful protests, is there anything that we can do to impact that?
Because the Solid Asylum advocates non-violence, we subscribe to non-violence, and given a population, I do feel non-violence is the best option. Having said that, you can, the Belt and Road Initiative, we all know, right? So we must know what China is doing, Belt and Road Initiative. Essentially, they said we'll build roads connecting highways from China to, Central Asian countries. And then the road is the naval, right, sea route. So they'll build highways, railways, seaport, connecting China with the rest of the world. That's how they're going to trade. So Belt and Road Initiative was launched in 2013 by President Xi Jinping, right? So that's the narrative. We say, we want to do business with the rest of the world. We want to enrich, make world rich, and we will benefit ourselves. That's Chinese narrative, right? And now they're building Myanmar to, China, and from Pakistan to, Xinjiang and China. Then I came out and said, you know what? Belt and Road Initiative. I said, okay, that's the narrative. I said, Tibet was occupied because of one road. China promised us one road. They built, and all our parents helped build that road. And once the road was built, trucks came, tanks came, guns came. They occupied our country. Now all the roads lead to where? Our mineral resources. It's not a coincidence. Railway line brings heavy technology, heavy machines to exploit our natural resources. There are 400 dams. Tomorrow I'll be speaking at Stanford on the same subject. Built in Tibet. So my point is, when China says Belt and Road Initiative is going to benefit you, we Tibetans did not benefit. So that's the counter narrative. So you must come with this kind of idea. As we are the witness, right? One road was built, and then now what's happening? All our natural resources taken. All our rivers they built dams for electricity, right? And they benefit, we don't. So you must always come, and then you must make that relevant. Then the people will say, okay, right? So it's true, infrastructure is being developed, but how they are being used to benefit Han Chinese for their migration. So you must come with counter narrative. That's the way to go. And you can write opinion piece. You can appear in small media. Now social media, you can make small videos if you're good at it, and you share. Tibetans, I think we are so good at sharing. And you have outsourced the cost to someone else. These songs we must prioritize. We are Tibetan. Yes. There's one. You forgot? Whatever comes to a head.
So Lobsang Sangya Lak, you've always been a big inspiration for the Tibetan youth. The Chungdi Gosni Lobsang Sangya Lak podium, like you've always been speaking at the biggest podiums in the world. And with that being said, what were your career and life aspirations as the first Sikyong of the Tibetan government in exile? And how did you accomplish those over the 10 years you served in parliament?
I did share that story, when I first ran in 2011. As I said, no one believed I would win. Even my family members say it's unrealistic. But then, it's again, I've been saying, my human nature for me, this is how I think, okay? When someone says, I get excited. It's true. I get excited. And I really like to prove naysayers wrong. I'm shared this, I can share it again. But when I studied in Tibetan refugee school in Darjeeling, okay? So hardly anyone gets admitted to St. Joseph College. That's an English medium, chicken eating school, right? Oh, the way we kind of talk as though it's like we are scared, right? And I was like, I better go there, So I went there, and then it's a fact. And then there's Madhyamika, means you are like Nepali speaking school, and Tibetan school, and the English medium school. So in St. Joseph College, the English class has class A, section B, and section C. Okay, section A is only those students who have been to English medium school. You get admitted to section A. Section B is those students who are English medium school, but they just feel they don't want to do section A. They get admitted to section B, and those who are really good in English. Because I'm from Pishunglopta. You're from Pishunglopta, you go to section C. And I said, no, ma'am, I want section B, No, you're from Pishunglopta, go to section C. It's very tough. And I said, when there's a tough, I get excited, I said, what am I supposed to do? You said, okay, you recite 4 lines of the poem by William Wordsworth, right? Solitary Reaper, right? Tomorrow in the class. I said, no problem. So I went to the class tomorrow, I got up, right? And I recited the whole poem. Not 4 lines. I read all 12 lines, I got admitted. And then what happened? Pishunglopta, I became the captain of the class. They voted me. And I won the debate in St. Joseph College. And I got first in the class. Then I got bored, and I said, I go to Delhi University. They said, it's very difficult. Oh, I better go. Delhi University, same thing. I barely spoke English. When it's true, when I was St. Joseph College, my bedroom was still there. He was from Missouri, CST Missouri. And and I spoke to him English. He spoke broken English. Okay, you say, and it's true. It's a very funny story. He's from Nepal. So his cousin, who's from English medium school, asked him to bring her pair of jeans. Okay, from Nepal, you say jeans fashion here. What he did, he brought 2 jeans pants, right? And he went and presented to her. He said, no, I asked for a pair of jeans. Yeah, this is pair, they're 2. No, pair of jeans means 1. And he came back with 1 pant. You're a jeansless. And we were like, discuss what. But yeah, pair lana ni rawas, yorba. Jean lana kudung rawas. Kudung ni ladwa. Mare laudu, chikre laudu sa, you're a pair. And pair kaji lahor. You're a say, see, our English was that poor. Okay, I was senior, class 12. Okay. We didn't know what does pair of jeans, 1 jeans pant, 2 kund, 2. That poor, okay. But I still thought I better go to Delhi University. I went. And then I went to law school. All the stories. So at the law school, there was this boy, right? All the boys and girls used to surround him. And I said, who's this guy? Oh, he's Chaudhary. Do you know? Don't you know Chaudhary? I said, no. He's the prince of the campus. What do you mean? He's going to Harvard Law School next year. I said, oh, Harvard Law School? I better go there, That's it. And I applied in 1994. I applied to 9 law schools in America. All 9 rejected me. Yeah. And I said, what? Okay, I'll try again. Next I applied again. 8 accepted me, including Harvard. So I don't take no for. I said, no means I will get it done. So same thing, over and over. My life is like that only. When someone says, you can't win Sikyong, I said, okay, prove it to you. And now they say, oh, you can't be a lecturer at Harvard Law School. I get one of the highest rating now as a teacher. You just challenge yourself, improve yourself, and be yourself. So it's mindset. As a Tibetan, you already have the mindset of genius. Really, I do believe. And if I have your talent, your skill set, all of you, your command of English and exposure, I will think I'll rule the world. But I don't have, right? So I could only become Sikyong. Now he remembers. Lamsa lab, just say it. Huh? Yes, I'm writing one. There's one thick one in Tibetan. English is coming out. You want to read it? You don't want to read it? Please read, okay, when I write one. Yeah? Okay, he agrees now. Yeah?
It was really inspiring to hear about the fact that other countries, occupied territories, are looking to Tibet as a model for what a democracy in exile can look like. I was wondering what you believe is the greatest strength of Tibet's democracy in exile. Like, what's really working well for it, and why you think that it is that way.
So you want to be a bit academic? Okay. So, if you have studied democracy, definition of democracy starts with Schumpeter, Dahl, Huntington, and then Larry Diamond here at Stanford. They all Fukuyama. They all are supposed to be the giants of democracy. Okay, but they all define democracy as no state, no democracy. No territory, no democracy. They don't study democracy outside of territory or a country, right? So that means exile democracy doesn't fit in the conventional mainstream definition of democracy. So what we are doing is something unique. Now, if you study freedom struggle, right? Any freedom struggle, ANC, what have you, they all say unity, one leader, one voice is very important, right? That's why in our word, chikdi is very important. But then theoretically, there's a contradiction between the two. Unity, one leader, one voice, plus diversity, opposition party, and freedom of speech. See, there's a fundamental contradiction between democracy and freedom struggle. The fact that we are combining the two in itself, it's like unbelievable. See? No one thought about it. No one thought it could happen because democracy they don't study exile. Freedom struggle just don't study democracy. We have combined the two and quite successful. Now, it's true, in the community, we have a lot of criticism, right? Talking, all kinds of things. So that's a fundamental contradiction of the freedom movement and democracy. So this friction and tension and fault line should be expected. It's an outcome of this. Right? So when someone criticizes, you say, they say that, right? That's the freedom struggle part. So when you understand from a holistic point of view, there's a contradiction and there's fault lines. So when friction happens, it's an outcome of what we are trying to do something. It's impossible. So academically speaking, theoretically speaking, this is something impossible. So that's why most of the freedom struggle movements are not democratic. And most of them fail because of this internal contradiction. And we have succeeded. Number two, physically, the fact that we have cabinet, parliament, different departments, running our own school, hospital, things like that, it's like impossible. There are 150 million refugees around the world. No one run as efficiently and as capable as us. There are none. That's why they all want to study us. Why? Because we have the physically functioning government. It's impossible. So what we have done as per the vision of His Holiness and support by Tibetans, we have done something theoretically, practically, unrealistic. So that's why when I speak, they were like, wow, what are you talking about? That's why I say, theoretically, we are making major contribution on the discourse of democracy. We're making major contribution on the discourse of freedom movement, right? And the fact that we have elections in 40 countries. American president election is so easy. They just have to run in one country. Senator, they just have to run in one state. We have to run in 44 countries. Who would do that, right? Can you imagine that, right? And then the fact that we do it. And then worse, in America or India, they pay you to vote. They say, give 1,000 rupees to vote, okay? We have to pay Green Book, then only you get to vote. So we are the only one who charge you. Say, hey, you want to vote, pay, Who does that? Brother, so it's like, it's so beautiful. It's something we have achieved. That's why I thought I should write a book, And then, I should share it with others. Recently, I was in a group of, iftar party. So those Muslims, they have Ramadan. So they have 12 hours of fasting. And in the evening, they eat food. And the former Prime Minister of Tunisia was there, and a couple of, Syrians and Egyptians, a lot of Muslims and people were there. And then they all say, what are you doing? And when I'm writing, they all are very excited. So we have, despite, we always look at, again, glass half full. Or what's wrong with the Tibetan community? What's wrong with Tibetan democracy? What's wrong with, we must talk about it, but don't make it the center of attention. But rather, we have so many reasons to be proud. So it's true. Tibetan government exile is the best there is. And can you imagine, without a country, we have succeeded. If we had our own country, my God, Tibet will be the leading country in Asia. We will be far ahead of China. It's true, there are so many Buddhist countries in the world, right? You just go from China to Thailand to Burma. Actual Buddhist texts, what Buddha said and his disciples said, all these Buddhist countries, you just name any, okay? They have like 6 volumes or 12 volumes. That's all they have, what Buddha and his disciples said. Only Tibetans, we have 300 plus volumes. Can you imagine? 6 million people, right? We managed to learn Sanskrit and translate in Tibetan 300 original volumes of what Buddha and his disciples said. No Buddhist country. China has 1.4 billion people. There are 500 million Buddhists. They could not do it. We have done it. That's like 1,300 years ago. Can you imagine? So we are one another, 강제mas, Yes.
사실 you mentioned the Tibetan cause, and for us, the future Tibetan generation, do you believe it to be more important to focus on reclaiming our past, or securing our past as in culture, or securing our future with reclaiming Tibet as a country?
I know your generation has an impossible task. You must do both. Because unless you preserve your past, in the sense, unless you know yourself as a Tibetan, your values, your culture, your custom, So when you strive for future, the question is, what are you striving for? Right? So freedom is just a word. Tibet is, in a way, just a name. But now you must define that name, right? When you define it, then you define through your spirituality, your culture, your identity, your civilization, your history. That's what you're fighting for. So, that's why you must balance both. That doesn't mean that, again, there are some people, don't say that, right? Shingyapek heshempure. Mashingna dukchar la yomar, yorwa. Kazana, Pöbe yimbe dunshe di yona. Pöbe yinsambe semshu di yona. Inchiki yani zadunshi lega chiguana dictature. Dile pöge det hakjoshi during in the shed and a chokare. Okay, I gave you guys blank check, huh? Even if you don't speak Tibetan, be proud. You tell your parents, okay, now, no, I'm so Tibetan. You don't know inside me, I'm more Tibetan than you. Tell you thumbs up.
아니 지와 타마딩아 퓨처지.
린데 퓨네 슈긴다.
What should be the youth's intention for serving the Tibetan cause and its people?
What?
What should be the youth's intention?
Yes. Now, first of all, when I say this, to be a leader, you all have to be leader. You must define leader. Okay. First of all, you must do what you are good at. If you are good in, if you want to be a scientist or a doctor, nurse, what have you, an entrepreneur, whatever you are good at, just excel in that field. Okay. That's very, very important. Because you must do something what you enjoy, what you like. Once you have a successful career, successful life, then you will become a better leader as well. Right? So don't sacrifice one for the other. Okay? To be a leader, you should not sacrifice your career options or what have you. You can be a leader anytime. Okay? So that's very important. Intention is very, that's easy, Again, as I said, because Tibetan civilization, right, it's at stake, our country, our people, So you must have the intention. And then if you say intent, that's the intention. But I think the word is more motivation. What should be your motivation? Laveina, greater good. Others before self, lajtwa. That should be, and compassion and kindness. Again, I always say this, compassion-based courage is much more stronger than ambition-based courage. Why? Ambition-based courage is when you don't achieve it, you're demoralized. Your courage will go away. But compassion-based courage is more stronger because your motivation is for others. For 6 million Tibetans. For example, as a Sikyong, I used to come to, 157 Tibetans have come into self-immolation, right? And 62 of them in 2012, when I was Sikyong. Can you imagine when 62 Tibetans in Tibet burned themselves, how much pain it causes, right? It caused to Tibetans and to me also. I was Sikyong. Now I come to Washington, D.C. to meet with people in the State Department. They refuse to meet with you. They say, no, you can't come inside the State Department. You can't come inside the State White House. Now, on the one hand, you all have heard, right? I'm the Prime Minister and President of Tibetan government exile. On the other hand, you come to DC, they say, no, we can't meet you because you are an exiled government. You are a Prime Minister in exile. We don't recognize that, right? Now, can you imagine I travel 3 or 4 times every year Washington, D.C. So if you're not allowed to visit White House, State Department 30 to 40 times, what would you do? Huh? What would you do? If you're rejected 30, 40 times, what would you do? Now, as I said, if your motivation is based on ambition, you would give up. After 10 times, you say, you know what? I cannot achieve my ambition, so I give up. But my motivation is based on compassion of 6 million Tibetans. I should do it. I should keep going at it because it's not me who's there, but I represent 6 million Tibetans who are suffering. 157 Tibetans are burning themselves. I must speak for them. So for 10 years, I kept going. I'm just giving example of Washington, D.C. In all the capitals, okay, from Brussels to Oslo to London to everywhere, to be a Sikyong of Tibetan government exile is the most difficult one. Because you don't have protocol, there's no formality, you know. You don't know how to go about doing things. But you keep at it because I'm always thinking, if I don't go, what happens to 6 million Tibetans? What happens to my country? What happens to my civilization? So my motivation was not based on ambition, but based on compassion. So it's much stronger. So in my 10th year, in October of 2020, I entered the State Department. November of 2020, I entered the White House. And December of 2020, we passed the Tibetan Policy and Support Act, law in America. And not just that, because for 10 years, for 30, 40 times, they rejected me. They said, you're Sikyong, you're Prime Minister exile, we don't recognize you, so you can't come in. I made sure that in the Tibetan Policy Support Act, the word Sikyong is mentioned. Central Tibetan Administration represents Tibetans in exile. Sikyong is the president of Tibetan government exile. It's a law in America now. Sikyong is recognized word. So motivation, compassion-based courage keeps you going. Even today I'm standing here. Why? Because now I served 10 years, okay? I've done enough. If you go by share, I've done my share, right? And I have received enough of criticism. Yes or no? I got share of my criticism as well. And I can just relax now, you know? Just write books and articles or go about. And then in my life, I can always brag. You know, I was Sikyong of Tibetan government exile. I woke the Dalai Lama. I could just go on boasting about it, right? But I do this boring thing, you know? Delayed flight from Boston to San Francisco, you know? And then, you know, staying in a hotel, as I said, continental breakfast, everywhere is the same. It just doesn't taste good at all. I just do it because I just feel as a former Sikyong, I know the issue quite well. And I can articulate and speak better than many. So I just say, I'm a Kangjemba. I must serve. I must speak for Tibetan cause. And today, by sharing my thoughts, a few of you are encouraged or inspired, not because of my wisdom, at least because of my passion. Right? In the Jila, you're also nodding, right? You saw enough passion in me, right? So that means I've fulfilled my duty. Okay? So we all have responsibilities, and we all must unite. We all must fight non-violently. Right? And we must shoulder the responsibility. And we will get there. I always say this. They always say, you know, why do you think you're so optimistic? I say, I'm not optimistic, but I'm always hopeful. Because communism is 100 years old. Buddhism is 2,500 years old. We are senior. They will come and go. We will always be there. And recently I went to Arunachal and I went to this border, a place called Bumla, right? And I saw Tibet. I've never been to Tibet, right? I'm denied permission. I went there and then I said, you know what? I can still see Tibet is still there. It belongs to us. It's just that we just have to go there one day. And Tibet will always wait for us. You know? So with that thinking, we can always go. And we will succeed. And then, you know, recently at the business school last year, when I was teaching, they asked me, you know, oh, China is so powerful, they're dominant everything, they're trying to control the whole world. What do you think? There's no chance whatsoever as far as Tibetans are concerned. I said, no. Our job is very easy. Our job is we have to survive. That's all. China, they must get more powerful, more powerful, more powerful. Once they stop getting powerful, they lose their steam. Great powers have come and gone. Roman Empire, British Empire, Soviet Union, you just name it. All empires have come and gone. All we need to do is survive. As long as survive, as a Tibetan, right? As a movement, when the moment comes, we will be there, we'll just take it. So on the one hand, it's simple. So what I'm trying to do is survive. When the moment comes, we get what is ours. Tibetan civilization and our identity. With that, I just want to say thank you very much. And the way he's clapping, he's going to read my book. Tuchena, Kadinchela, Lao, and Manga engine Shegwadia, Shunge Sol Yorwa, Koto Yaga Pigri Semchi, Shibai, in a diary lesson, Lochu Jonga, engine marking at Suka Yomarwa, Raya. This was a go Pugin to Jukdom the Pugin Chevening, Chazan Pugin Shev Chikpara ratio. Tuchena.
Thank you everyone for the engaging and nuanced questions. Thank you so much, Sister Lobsang Sangya Lak. We are now at the end of our session, but before we wrap up today, Tibetan, on behalf of everyone, will give a vote of thanks.
Tharing mixe Sister Lobsang Sangya Cho Sangya Lak kalop sabke dang tiwala ledep halle wa sabke nang so thuji che shui. Niwa de langonzu ge sudam sring la tharing gi jerim di thedong tang nang gi yore thuji chena nyamdo la kyanta charun nang gi chulang utub la thuji na khran ni chokpe ge khadi rewa ge di khran zu khadi ne charun nang gi yore di ni khadi ne gadin chim bu yi and thanda mixing unzu shönge cho gong si sun gi Kalop Senga Pevati Tujena, Nikaranzugi, Tiwadi, Behalewa Yabunasu. We hope you will continue to stay engaged within the community. Thank you. Tama de Langonzu, Mimangi, Bemambu Pesha, Tiji Chess, and Taringil Zerim di Dus Duwaye, Gadinchim.
Manzu the Chobeng when a Gons Sisucho Depe, and when a Shenge Zola Kalop today. Samota any lendem nawadla any chomeng when a toming zamgi any tanda around ginger chi jazum number conso any kongi any guti any chamjegi ningdop seveki any tepti any kola any temde sunjigi any tochena shwe 아니 단단하죠 공원한테 파 최강으로 두 스페인 아니 미만한 무슨 두 주로제 있는 가지고 공원 두 텐데슈 아니 디제라든다 아 단단 신경 좀가지고 샵야다 두 야 뒤에게 로봇으로 지수해 아 넘버 2다 SFT Bay Area के गिले नंबर 2 공원님도 고바지
Unrealistic. 투체잖아. MC 빼야구나.
Get better soon.
Hello, mi ma zo kuchi kuchi ta kupkya de ma yang wa la sham la ba kero chi kuchi